In this tutorial, we'll be talking about animations. So animations are, as you can see from the screen, when you take graphics that are on, or objects that are on the PowerPoint slides, and you make them animated. You choose how they come into the slide, which elements show up first. And this is really good when you're using graphics and you want it to have a more appealing appearance, or if you only want to show some parts of the graph first and then some other parts of the graph later, maybe to emphasize certain aspects. Depends on your presentation. Without animations, all of your slides would just appear all at once, the graphics. So let's get started. We have this graph here. Now, as you can see, each of these elements are ungrouped. So the boxes are by themselves, the captions are by themselves, the graphics are their own element. Let's try to group these. So before we do that, the animations that are available on the top of your bar, add animations to one element. And if you go on the right, you'll see the add animations, and that is where you see secondary animations you can use. So you can put multiple animations in one object using these two toolbars. And that's quite important. So for example, the fly-in animation, that makes the bottom box fly in. Then we click on the animation pane on the right, it will show a toolbar on the right, and that shows the animation we just add in, the fly in. And if you click on the options, there are several options to choose from. You can make it start on click, you can make it start with previous, start after previous, there's effect options, timing, etc. These will determine the timing of the objects and when they will come in, but we will deal with that a bit later. There's also effect options that affect the directions. So if you want to change the direction, now the fly in comes from the bottom left or the left, and you can even change the sequence of which order they come in. Once again, we'll go over sequence later. So now let's group these two objects. So we have the two objects. When we shift click them and click them both and hit fly in, they will both fly in, as you can see. So on the first click, both of those will fly in. Now we're grouping the next two, and we put fly in effect on those. And we'll do it from the right. So now those two objects will fly in from the right. Now, in order to make this process a bit easier, for the rest of the graphics, we can simply group them first, and then using the animation painter, copy the animation that we used in our first two clicks to apply to the rest of the two clicks. So let's do that now. So we're grouping the left side right here, and we're gonna right click on it and hit group. Then we select the next two layers and then hit group. We select the next two, right click and hit group. And the last one. So now that these are all groups, we can add animations to them. So let's click on the animation painter below the animation pane. This will just copy the animation that we used on our first click, and then now we painted it on the above the second click. So now those will come in the same way the first two came in. Now we animation paint the other two, and we do that for each one. So now we just copied it, now we just paste it. Now if we play them all, they all bunch up together and group up together, so that doesn't look so nice. So let's highlight all of our animations and then click on start on click. So now if you click once, each time you click, actually, a different set will come up. So you see there's now 8 clicks, so it took me 8 clicks to get all of those graphics on the screen. If we highlight them all and do start after previous, then as you can see, we click once and then they all come one after each other. That looks a lot nicer. And as you can see on the right, those green boxes show what timing they will come in. So now let's do start with previous, but we are going to make it only for one group. So you can change the way these things works. All right, now let's go to our line graph. So for our line graph, we have selected the wipe animation. So we applied it to the whole graph. So on the first click, it will wipe in. And let's change the effect options. Now here we have the sequence. So we can choose the sequence that we want to come in. Do we want those sequences all at once or not? So now on the second click, that line will show up. All right, so in 2 clicks, first the graph shows up, and then the second click, the line, the first sequence, the line, will show up. Now let's go to effect options, and then we go to timing. So say we want to add a delay. So we can choose a start delay or a duration delay, which means how long it takes for that line to go from the left side to the right side, meaning how long it takes to complete. So we just put on 2 seconds, and now you can see that it takes 2 seconds for that line to actually appear. It slowly fades in. Then we have our captions on the top. We can put an effect on those. Let's say float in. And now we can change the direction. Maybe we want them to float down instead of up. All right, so on our second click, those captions will come up. That's why there's the 2 there. And now we just change that to start with previous, so it will actually show up in 1 click after the line. All right, and then when we hit the play all, we get to preview what our animations will look like. So that's very important. When you make changes, you can hit play all and it will change. It will show you the preview. Now, if we did start on click, then each time we do this, we'll have to click. So maybe on our first click right now, it'll show the graph. On the second click, it will show the first caption. And on the third click, it will show the third caption. This is important when you're trying to highlight different numbers you want on the line graph, and you don't want the audience to see all the numbers at once, but and so now we made it so that it comes in 2 clicks. So on the first click, the graph, second click, the sequence, and then the captions. Now let's select all those captions and we'll make them float in. Okay, so now they just added those animations to our list. They will be on the third click. So now we click once, the graph and the line show up, click twice, the captions show up, and now on the third click, all 4 of the captions show up. All right, so say we have a map graph and you want to highlight certain regions or instead of others. So first, we select the elements we want. We can add animations to the map itself or to the individual elements. It's up to you. We can make them appear all at once. So now we just selected all of those pointers and we made them all float in at once, which is fine if you want everyone to see all your numbers at once. But what if you want to highlight a certain region? So first we ungroup them so that they are 5 separate elements. And then we added an effect to the map. We added an effect option to the map. And then now let's highlight the individual regions. Let's group up the Asian regions together, the African regions, and the North American. So here I've selected the Asian regions, and we're going to put a fly in for those. So those are going to come together. We're going to change the direction to the top. And on the second click after the map, those two will show up by themselves. Great. So now for the African region, we will click the animation pane and then click on the African region, and that will add the same effect to the African region as it did to the Asian regions. And then we do that again for the North Americas and South America. So now all of those have the float in effect, and we can see those on the right screen. Now, as you can see, all 5 come and float in. But maybe we want to highlight certain regions, so we highlight the ones we want, and we're going to do start on click. So if we did start on click, that means each click will bring up each button. That's why the numbers next to those buttons are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we want Asia to come together, we click on that group 28 and then we hit start with previous. That means it's going to start right on the second click, right after the first button comes in. So first click the map, second click both Asian regions because one started after the previous, third click Africa, fourth click North America. So now this is 4 clicks instead of 6 clicks. Now we have the caption on the bottom. So let's make the caption fly in. All right, so now you see text box 38 on the right. That is the captions settings, animation settings. All right, and then lastly, on the 5th click, the caption will come in. All right, but maybe we want the caption to come in the beginning, so let's move it up. So now it'll be the map, then the caption, and then the buttons. So we can rearrange the different elements. We can make it start with the previous, we can make it start after the previous. It's up to you. How do you want this to come together? So we did start previous, so now it comes up right after the map with the first click, and then the regions come up.